What's up, people? It's Leah, and I cannot believe that we're finally here. But here we are. It is the very last room that needs to be decorated in my home decorating series, the living room. The room I spend the most time in. The room that I feel like had the strongest vision from when I moved in. And the room that has a lot of furniture upcycling and painting that needs to be done. And since we are recording in the room where the makeover is happening, you may see some spoilers behind you of the things that we're gonna do, but don't worry, I am giving very detailed tutorials on all of the upcycling projects that I'm doing, and I'm really excited to share that with you. So let's get into it. So yeah, the living room was the room that I feel like had the strongest vision behind it when I moved in. This is the room where probably the least amount is changing in terms of the layout, the furniture pieces, the general design aesthetic. I'm keeping majority of that the same. So we're not really doing a traditional mood board like we've done in the past. I said this when I first did an apartment tour when I moved in, and I was just showing you the vibes that I was feeling for each room. I said that I wanted this room, the living room, to have vampire vibes, to feel like a 500-year-old vampire lives here. And yes, that is still my design intention. But let's give it more specific words. And so the styles that I'm going for in this room are neoclassical meets industrial meets dark academia, mixed with a little spooky to give that overall vampire feel. The color palette I'm working within black and some darker beige neutrals, gold, and red. I know red can be sort of an angry color. It could be a little anxiety-inducing, but I also think it could be fun, sexy, a vampire's favorite color, because it's the color of their food. Really going for the vampire thing here. I'm not trying to have a ton of red in this room, really just accents like we're seeing in the pillow. Some of the picture frames up on the wall have a little bit of red. So we do want red to feel like a focal point, but we don't need like so much red. Otherwise, I feel like it's gonna lose its coziness. So we're really focusing more on the neutrals with some strong pops of color. Now I've said the layout is staying the same. I'm not getting any new furniture pieces, but there is a lot that I still want to change slash upcycle slash refurbish. So let's really talk through the things that we want to change. Number one, the rug in here. It's not really the style that I'm going for. It feels like it would have been modern maybe 10, 15 years ago. But at this point, I think the style feels a little bit outdated. I have an idea of how I can use this in my office. I might add that in. Otherwise, I'm probably gonna sell this rug. I'm looking for something a little bit more in that neoclassical style. Additionally, I've had this mirror pretty much since I moved in. I love it here. This is typically where I work out, but I've always had the idea that I want to paint this mirror gold, add some fun adornments, and so that's one of the DIY projects that we are working on. I'm very excited to get this mirror sort of in line with the design style of this room, and the silver, it's feeling very modern, and I think this upcycle is really gonna solidify this mirror in this room. We also need to do some styling the mantelpiece, styling the bookshelf. I'm also trying to find a place to put my TV in here. Continuing with our painting and furniture upcycling, I bought these two lamps off of Facebook Marketplace for a total of $30 pretty soon after I moved in, and I always had the idea that I wanted to paint them. I think these lamps are really gorgeous just as they are with the purple flowers, but it's not really my style. If these lamps were living in the bedroom, the color scheme might work, but for this neoclassical, industrial, dark academia living room, I thought it would be fun to make them fully black, almost like a burnt forest kind of vibe, really dark and moody. So both of these lamps I want to get painted completely black, except for the little bell shapes that are over the light bulbs. You know, those covers I'm going to keep white, but the rest of it, we're going full black. And then we have this end table here. I actually have two of these tables. For the longest time, I was having trouble figuring out where the second table was going to go, but I knew I didn't really want want to separate this set. I liked the idea of them living in the same room. So what I've decided, the one that I've been using as an end table with the smaller lamp on it is going to stay where it is. And the other table is going to become my coffee table. I really do love the coffee table that I have now. I think it's so beautiful. I had a plan to paint it black. I thought it really fit with the industrial style, but I have been told by multiple people that the table is a little too big. I've become inclined to believe it, and I think that this other table, the one that matches the end table, will work better as a coffee table and will be a better size. But I don't want to leave these tables as is. There is a lot that I think needs to be changed. Number one, the wood. I'm not a huge fan of the way that these tables are stained. I think the stain is a little too warm, a little too dark. It's also not really put on terribly evenly, and I just think it's a little messy. So the plan is to strip off all of that paint, all of that stain, and see what the natural wood is looking like underneath. Though a lot of the other wood tones I'm playing with in this room are warm toned, in general, I think this room skews on the warm side, especially with the light bulb tone that I've got going on in this room. So I don't think that these tables need to be overly warm, and I'm hoping that whatever the natural wood is underneath will match a little bit better with this room and won't be overly warm. And then with the gold frame of this table, if you get really close to it, you can see that the gold is flecked with some black paint. Again, not really loving the way that this looks. I don't really love the wood grain next to this gold frame. All the rest of the furniture that I have in here is some sort of wood grain with black metal framing. And so I want these tables to match that. So my plan is to paint this gold black. Gold is one of the colors in this room, but just like the red, I feel like I'm finding it in accent pieces. Some of the decor that I have around is definitely accented with gold. And then of course the mirror is going to be our gold hero piece in the room. I kind of like that all the other furniture is going to be wood and black metal, really feels industrial. And then the design we're going for the mirror is really gonna bring in that neoclassical. And I think because that's where the gold is mostly gonna be focused, it's going to let the mirror stand out a little more. So yeah, these tables are gonna go through a whole upcycling, and in the end, I'm hoping the color they end up will flow a little bit more seamlessly in this room, because right now they feel kind of out of place. They don't really feel like they match. So I'm excited to get painting on them, or unpainting, I guess, stripping off some paint. And other than that, just a few little projects. We're gonna have to organize my books, organize some of my little knickknacks that I want to display. I want to do a little bit of updating on the gallery wall. Some of the pieces on the gallery wall are physical pieces, like I have the horseshoe, I have some of my dad's army medals, and I have those mounted right now on like beige paper, but I think they'll look a lot sleeker on black paper. So yeah, anything that's sort of not filling the frame, I want to mount on black paper. And some things we are going to change out. The main piece above the round mirror on the gallery wall had been empty for a while, and I haven't really settled on a piece that I want to sort of be the main piece, so that's another thing that we're gonna be looking for. So let's get into making over. Hello, so it is the first day that we are getting into the living room, the last room in this home decor series, and I'm very excited. I feel like this is the one room out of every single one where I'm keeping the original vision I had for it. I'm just finally getting around to some projects I've had literally since the week I moved in and have not done. I knew this room was going to be challenging in a lot of ways because I'm taking on a few fairly large painting and furniture upcycling projects, and they have to succeed. Otherwise, there's no makeover. But today, we're actually going to mostly be working on some smaller projects. As you can see behind me, this is the mantle right now, the fireplace, and it's really a mess. And you're only seeing a portion of it right now. There's a lot more going on all around here, on the mantle, on the front of the fireplace and stuff. And I just really need to get this organized. Basically what's been happening is as I've been doing other rooms, if I find something where I say, oh, this doesn't belong here, but I don't know where it goes yet, this is where it it ended up. And just in general, there's stuff kind of all over the place. There's stuff piled next to the couch on both sides. There's stuff on the table. There's stuff on the coffee table, on the end table. And I don't want to be working in a cluttered environment when I'm about to start doing a lot of painting. So I thought today, for day one, we could get just the general organization out of the way. It's mainly what I showed here, this mantle and this shelf just below me in front of the fireplace, which doesn't work, by the way, so it's just for show, which is actually informing some of the design choices I'll show later. And then on the other side of the room, we have a bookshelf. And I think if we can get those organized, we're gonna be in a good place to start doing some of the painting projects. Ideally today, I would like to get the mirror prepped. Basically, the first step of that is to paint it black, and then afterwards we're gonna add some adornments and some gold. So I'll show you that whole tutorial. And we are likely just going to spruce up the gallery wall. Not much is changing on there, but the things I'm changing I think are going to make a big difference. So let's get started with this fireplace project. I knew that I wanted to put a lot of books on this mantelpiece, but the first step in any good makeover is to clear out the space that you're working on and really just get an idea of what it looks like when it's a clean slate. And we're also trying to find a good place to put this TV, whether it's gonna be sitting on top of the mantle or on the bottom part of the mantle. I was trying the TV up here. I definitely don't want to mount it on the wall. I definitely want it on this side of the room, even though I feel like the logical place to put it would be on this side where the mirror is right now. That's my workout station. That's where my mirror is. And I don't know, I just don't want the TV to be such a focal point, and I feel like up here, it just looks like a TV. I hate the look of TVs. I've never owned a TV before. It's my first one. I don't like how they look. So I'm gonna put it back where it was before, which was in front of the fireplace. My reasoning for that is that the fireplace doesn't work, and the TV is kind of the same size as the doors on the fireplace. So it masks the TV. I feel like it doesn't really take away from the fireplace as like a statement piece. It just blocks the doors, which I'm not going to use anyway because this thing is broken. And I've had the TV there for weeks. I haven't been using it yet, but I've sort of tested, you know, when I'm laying on the couch, is this a weird angle to be watching TV at? And the answer is no, it's not. So yeah, we're going to put it back on the lower shelf on this mantle. And in the dark academia fashion, I am going to fill this fireplace with books. It's basically just going to be an organized version of what was on here before. Now that I've got everything cleared out, I can see what I have and I can start mapping out where things are gonna go. And anything left over will go on the bookshelf, which we'll tackle next. I don't think it's too low, especially if you're laying on the couch. I think it's a really good angle, and it still makes this mantelpiece, this fireplace, a focal point in the room. But since the fireplace isn't working, I didn't see a problem with placing the TV right in front of it. And let's start placing some of my books. If I feel emotionally connected to a book, or if the book fits the color scheme, I'm going to face it outwards so you can see the title. Really anything that's black, even dark brown, red, gold. Those are the books that I'm going to be using to face forward. Also, any book series that I have, like my Lord of the Rings books, those are definitely gonna face out. And anything else that I'm not emotionally connected to, or it doesn't have the correct color scheme, I'm going to face backwards so the pages are showing. I don't know about you, but I'm a person who likes to take off the covers of my books. If they have these flimsy paper covers, sometimes the book underneath is way more aesthetically pleasing, especially if you're going for a dark academia vibe like I am. But I don't like to throw those covers away because they do have good information. So what I like to do is to cut off both of the inside flaps in the front part of the cover and the back part of the cover, cut those off and tape them to the inside covers of the book. So you still have that information, the little blurb about what the book's about, as well as information about the author. You're not losing that, but you're giving your books more of an aesthetic appeal. And I think in this situation, the books that I'm taking the covers off of fit the style a lot more just as they are. But I don't know, these Stephen King covers I think are really cool looking. I like how bright they are, so I'm gonna hold on to them. Maybe I'll frame them one day. Let me know in the comments if you want to see me make some book cover art. On the top of the mantle, I'm putting back some things that I previously had on the mantle. We have this piece of artwork that my friend made me, this steampunk Commedia dell'arte mask, and this little Singer sewing machine. This was my granny's. She gave it to me. I think it's so cool, and I love how it looks up here. And then we're finishing the mantelpiece off with some books. We've got some Stephen King's, some mangas, and I'm also going to put my laminate configuration from Hellraiser up here. And on the back side of the mantle, we're going to add another stack of books. So if I'm standing in the kitchen or I'm in the bedroom, we're just going to see the back pages of this book. So again, these are books that don't really fit any color scheme. We just kind of want to show the pages instead. All right, now it is time to work on the gallery wall. As I said, not much is changing, a few things here and there. For the most part, I'm just trying to mount a lot of these pictures that were previously on beige backgrounds onto black backgrounds. So let's start with this horseshoe. I've had this horseshoe my whole life. I used to horseback ride and I found it at one of the farms, and yeah, it's kind of been a part of my life since I was like 10 or something, and I like having it. And when you're using contact paper, you want to use some sort of card to make sure you're getting all of the air bubbles out. There was a little bit of learning curve with this contact paper that I was using. I totally forgot that I had recently bought a new cutting board, so I was trying to cut on the carpet, which was way too flimsy. Then I was trying to cut on top of a cardboard box, also not very good, but this cutting board has been a great addition. And let's get this framed. Wow, it looks so much nicer. Really feeling those dark academia vibes. And let's do the same thing with this piece. These are just some coins that I've picked up in my travels. I think we've got some soles, some pesos, Thailand baht, and I think some pounds as well. And this is a piece from Attack on Titan. There's actually gonna be a good amount of Attack on Titan stuff in here, which is a show that has a lot of military representation. Anything related to military, travel, really fit those dark academia vibes. The wall is looking good. These black backgrounds honestly do make a huge difference. With the way the gallery wall is looking right now, I'm mostly happy with it. It's still that centerpiece that I would like to look for something different. Right now I have a piece from Kingdom Hearts 2, which I love Kingdom Hearts 2, but I don't really think the color scheme works terribly well. So I'm gonna keep my eyes posted for something else to put in there. I definitely want something a little warmer. I think that this piece is a little too cool toned, really focusing on the blues, where in this room, I think the beiges, the reds, the golds, the blacks, that's more important. So we're not finished with the gallery wall yet, but I am liking how it looks so far. And now let's get into styling the little bookshelf next to the couch. We've got my Game of Thrones series here, some more Funko Pops, Cammy and Chun-Li from Street Fighter. Down at the bottom, we're just putting a random assortment of books that sort of live in the neutral color zone. Since it's pretty low down, I don't expect it to be getting a lot of viewing. We're also putting some of my crystals and charms, my Carrie Fisher memoir, my tea warmer, some of my tarot cards, and a comic book. In the final reveal, this is all going to look slightly different, but this was my first pass at the bookshelf. Okay, the mantle and the bookshelf are finished, and right before I got started with all of that, I decided to go onto Etsy and see if I could find anything to fill the center print right here. I kind of had always had an idea of what type of artwork or what franchise or what series I wanted to represent in that top spot. I really wanted something from Attack on Titan. I felt like I could find something with a color scheme that worked really well in here. So I ended up finding a print on Etsy, and even better, it was actually a PDF file that I was paying for. So I bought it for like less than $5. I got the file sent to my email, and then I could go ahead and print that however I wanted. I found a place that could print it in a day. So once I finished up with the mantle and the bookshelf, I actually ran out and picked it up, and it's already here. I couldn't believe how easy it was to go on Etsy and find an art print so quickly. This is a really inexpensive, accessible way to get some really nice art. It's really common on Etsy that you can just purchase an electronic download and then print your pieces any way you would like. Since I was sort of pressed for time, I found a place that could print very quickly, and in just a few hours, I had this gorgeous new print. And the gallery wall is finished. Now it is time for the mirror DIY. I've seen this a lot on YouTube. There is this very expensive Anthropologie mirror that's sort of got that vintage, neoclassical vibe, and that is what I would like to create. But I'm going to DIY it because I'm not gonna pay that much money for a mirror. So we're gonna take my silver mirror and we are going to transform it into a more vintage looking gold mirror like this one from Anthropologie. Time to get this mirror painted. The first step in any paint project is to tape down any places you don't want paint. This way you can get nice, crisp lines on the painted side. So we are putting down some tape to protect the mirror. We are going to paint the mirror black. This is so we can get sort of those antique vibes I'm going for. When I put the gold on top, hopefully some of the black will shine through, making it look a little bit more aged and worn. While that first coat is drying, I'm also going to paint these wooden appliques black as well. With the black, we are trying to get into all the nooks and crannies so that again, when we put the gold on, some of the black will still be shining through. And now let's do a second coat of black on the mirror. And time to add the gold to the wooden appliques. And let's do our first coat of gold around the entire mirror. once the gold is looking the way you want it to, it's time to glue the appliques on. Using some wood glue, we are going to put these smaller pieces in the 4 corners. And then I measured the center of the mirror where I placed the bigger applique. And now we have an Anthropologie style mirror that we DIY'd at home, and it's looking so good. Welcome to day 2 of the living room, and we are 1 DIY project down. The mirror looks so good. I'm very, very happy with it. About halfway through, I was like, was this worth it? Is this gonna make a huge difference? But now that I'm looking at it on the floor, I'm like, yes, this was a great idea. And I wanna start on the next projects today. Still trying to decide if I'm going to do the end table and coffee table or if I'm gonna start on the lamps. But while I am deciding that, there are a few more things I would like to put up on the wall. So I've got 2 of these guys right here. They are called string swings, and you hang your guitars on them. So I would actually like to hang my Clown Cafe ukulele on one of these. Ukulele? Banjo? Banjolele? I don't know. But you know, the thing I play in the Clown Cafe. I wanna put that on one. And then the other one, I have a Kingdom Hearts Keyblade. If you're unfamiliar, it's the video game Kingdom Hearts. The Keyblade is the weapon that the main character uses. And I wanna put that on one of these as well. I do have a guitar that I wanna display, but I have a stand for it that sits on the floor. So I need to figure where in the room that's gonna go. But yeah, the big guitar I don't need to put on the wall. So yeah, when I'm doing, you know, the final decorations, I'll figure out where to put that guitar, but I do know where I would like to put these 2 guys, so let's get to hanging them. Now it is time to start on the lamps. I knew going into this that these lamps were going to be very difficult to paint. They have so many little nooks and crannies, but I didn't realize just how difficult they were going to be to paint. And it did not take me very long to decide I needed to come up with another solution to get these lamps painted black. So as soon as I started this, I almost like instantly regretted it. I'm like, there's no way I'm painting in all these little crevices, not just on this lamp, but on the other one as well. It's gonna take forever. I'm pivoting. As you can see, I figured out how to take the like light bulb situations off. So this is gonna make this significantly easier, but I am going to spray it. I think that's gonna be the best, easiest way to get this all covered and get like in all the little nooks and crannies. So we're going to put this aside for now. I am gonna let it dry. It may be where we wrap tonight, but I might start working on the tables here. But again, I'm gonna have to wait to get the spray because I think I'm gonna spray these black, this gold. So it'll be matching a lot of the other furniture, like this furniture here, it'll match. But yeah, I don't wanna start that until this dries because I don't wanna move this until it dries and I'm gonna need this tarp. But yeah, the plan tomorrow is going to be to get some black spray paint, some more tarps so we can maybe set up a good spraying station. Yeah, I think that's just gonna be significantly easier and quicker. So let's put a pin in the lamps for now. Hello, it is the next day and I have so much to do today. I need to run out to the store to buy new materials so we can spray paint the lamps because I found yesterday painting the whole thing was going to take forever and I did not have the patience for it. Though honestly, now that the smaller lamp is dried, it does look more covered than I thought it did. It's looking pretty good and I think they're gonna be really cool, just black, very dark, very moody, very burned forest kind of vibe for my dark academia vampire palace. Anyway, yeah, we're gonna do that later in the afternoon when I run to the store. I also am gonna take the tables apart. That's what I'm gonna do this morning. The end table and the coffee table, I'm gonna take them apart and we are going to start stripping the paint off the wood pieces. I've got this. I am a little nervous that it's not gonna work terribly well because this is an all natural, no harsh chemicals or fumes sort of situation. Maybe harsh chemicals, but no harsh fumes, which I recommend if you don't have a terribly well ventilated area. I am going to try to do it on the patio, like move stuff around, but likely I'm just going to be doing it next to the open door here. So I hope it works because I feel like the other paint strippers are probably stronger, but I'm not risking harsh fumes. And I know that I'm still gonna wear a mask even with this, just to see. So we gotta do that. And then I had a weird epiphany last night, which is why I'm standing here. I know it's so bright because the light's coming in behind me, but I know I hung this Keyblade yesterday, but I have been racking my brain for a way to either change out, hide, disguise these slatted blinds. I hate them so much. I had toyed with the idea of taking them down, but this is a difficult thing to store and I don't think that is the friendliest renter hack that I could come up with. You know, if you're changing things out in your apartment, you want it to be things that you could store safely so you can change them back before you leave. Like I changed out my shower head, I changed out my toilet seat, and both of those things are stored away safely. But this would be such a big thing to store, so it doesn't seem worth it. So this is the idea that I had. In two of the rooms, the bedroom and the office, I had previously stuck tracks to the ceiling and I hung a curtain from ceiling to floor to kind of separate areas. Neither of those curtains ended up in the final makeover, which means I have a couple sets of ceiling to floor curtains and I have 4 tracks available to hang them. So I thought I could hang the curtains like, this is like the top of the blind here, like top of frame, but there's like probably 2 feet more above that where I could hang the curtains from the ceiling. So having them hang from the ceiling to the floor, but then also like from wall to wall. So I'm not gonna be using like the blinds as a guide, I'm gonna be using the wall. And I think it'll just like disguise it and then also create the illusion of an accent wall. I hope that's making sense, but I wanna get that done today as well, get that hung. I might need to buy more adhesive for the tracks. I also need to take them down because the tracks are all still sitting on the ceiling. And the way that you do that when you're removing something that you've stuck to the wall, you use heat. You can use like a blow dryer, heat up the adhesive and then pull it off and then it won't disrupt your paint or anything like that. So I need to get that done. And yeah, the Keyblade then is not gonna stay here, but I'll find another place for it. I just think this is gonna make me happy to disguise this ugly blind that I cannot stand. All right, we have a lot to do today. Let's get to it. The first step in this table DIY is to separate the metal from the wood. But make sure you're holding on to your hardware because you are going to need it to put the tables back together later. To give you a closer look on what's going on with the table, you know, this part doesn't look bad at all. That looks pretty good. But, you know, in some places, there's just a lot of nicks, things like that here, that I just want to make look much, much cleaner. Also, the stain I don't think was put on terribly well. You could see it's like significantly darker in this place, patchier here. So I'm just curious what the natural wood underneath is gonna look like and if that's something we'll keep. Then on the gold here, you can see it was kind of like splattered with black paint, which I guess was a design choice, not one I'm terribly interested in. I'm gonna probably just paint these black instead of gold. So yeah, let's get to stripping off this stain. Next, I am going to thoroughly coat the tables in the citrus strip, and I will leave it for about 20 minutes before I start removing the stain. You can definitely leave it for longer, but if you are leaving it overnight, make sure you cover it so that the citrus strip does not evaporate. So I ended up applying a second coat after I wiped off all the stain that I could. I just think especially in the places that like this, I didn't really get a lot on. So I just want to make sure it's as thorough as possible, but I have to say I am loving the way that the natural wood grain looks, and I think the plan after it's stripped is to just put a clear coat on and let the natural wood shine through. After I let the second coat sit for a while, I was much more deliberate when I was stripping the paint off. I was trying to be as neat as possible, also trying to get into all the little crevices on the side of the tables and just make it as clean as possible. But so far, I have to say I am loving the way that this wood looks. After I got most of the citrus strip off, I went in with a water and vinegar solution, and I just tried to lift up any extra stain that was left over. And then I put those tables outside to dry a little bit, and while I was waiting for the tables to dry, I decided it was time to hang the curtains. The first thing I did was put these curtains on one of my stands that I have lying around. I just wanted to see what it looked like before I committed to putting these on the ceiling. So the curtains are gonna sit much higher. That's as high as the stand goes, but I wanted to see what it looks like. I'm happy with it. I think it's gonna make the wall look really big. And if I feel like I need more curtain coverage, I do have another pair that I could double up on, which I think would also look kind of cool since it is a pretty big surface area. So yeah, that means that the keyblade is going to move elsewhere and I need to get the track on the ceiling so I can hang the curtains. I am stoked on this idea. And these tracks are very, very easy to put up. There's just an adhesive on the back. You stick that on the ceiling, you press and make sure it's firmly on there, and then you could add some hooks and your curtains. At first, I just put up the 2 panels, but I realized I needed more. I had 4 floor-to-ceiling panels in total, and I ended up using all 4, and I'm very, very happy with how the curtains look. Curtains are up. I think they're gonna look fun. I pulled this one back and kind of hung it on the handle to the door. I think it'd be fun to maybe get like a curtain tie back, but I feel good about this for now. Very luxurious. Sorry, this lighting is terrible, but I wanted to show you next to the door. I'm not convinced they're gonna stay up. The tracks, I did put new adhesive on them, but when I took them down, some of them got a little warped. They're not like sitting flush with the ceiling very well, so they may fall, but they might be okay. I'm gonna bring the end table and coffee table pieces back in now and sand those down a little and see what they're looking like. But I am really liking the color of the natural wood. Now back to the tables. I am sanding them down to make sure that there are no splinters on them. Again, making sure that all the citrus strip is off. And I had said that I wanted to put a clear coat on top of these tables just to make sure that the wood is protected, but that the natural color and the natural wood grain still shows through. I still do have that plan, but just for this makeover, I decided to leave the wood untreated and unfinished. At the time of making these tables, I did want to sit with them a few days before committing to putting any sort of finish on them. Now that I've had them for a few days, I am very committed to just this natural wood grain. I love the way it looks, and I want to make sure the wood is protected, but as of right now, they are being left untreated. Then I spray painted the metal frames black. I don't have footage of that. It was very blown out. I apologize, but yes, I did spray them black. I love the way they look. I think that they match the rest of the furniture in the room so well now. So let's get these tables back together. Go grab the hardware that you put aside and just screw these frames back into the holes that are already made in the table. Put the glass top back on. And there you go, an end table, coffee table DIY. We got that thick, ugly stain off of the wood. We cleaned them up nicely. We made the tables look much sleeker with this black frame instead of the gold, and I love how they came out. And since we put those curtains up and we do need to rehang the keyblade, I decided to put it on the front side of the mantelpiece, catty-cornered with where the banjolele is. And this was such a cool way to finish off this mantelpiece, and I love it. Okay, to finish off the night, I'm doing something a little dangerous. I'm spray painting in the house. I put up a little thing in the corner here. It's like fully covered so that nothing is gonna get on the walls or anything, but I need to spray this. You can buy spray tents that you can like put the thing that you're spraying in, and it's like a whole tent that goes around it. I couldn't find one big enough for this specific lamp, so we're just gonna do it this way. We're gonna start very light and we're gonna spray this guy. If you are doing something like this in your house, spray painting, please be very careful. It's hard to see it, but off camera, there are drop sheets all over the floor just to be very, very safe and make sure I'm not getting any spray paint on the carpet, on the walls. And it's hard to tell in this video, but the door was open. The windows were open. There was a fan on, just making sure I was getting as much ventilation as possible when spray painting these lamps. But overall, I do not recommend spray painting inside unless you have some sort of spray tent. But as I said, I couldn't find a spray tent that was big enough, so this is what we went with. And oh my goodness, these lamps look so cool now. I love how spooky the black paint makes them look, fitting into the dark and moody vampire vibes, the neoclassical, the dark academia. And let's get this one side table into place so you can see what the small lamp looks like after its spray painting adventure. Again, looks so cool, looks so dark, so spooky, and this room is really coming together. Now this light here I've always had trouble turning on because the switch was never really in a good place back here. You know, I didn't want to always have to reach behind the couch. So what I'm doing is I'm going to plug this into an extension cord, not that side. This side. I'm gonna plug this into an extension cord. I'm going to feed the extension cord and the plug behind the couch and plug it into an outlet behind the couch. And then this, which is the push button to turn the light on and off, is going to live on the other side of the couch over here on the floor, so I could just step on it. Let me show you on the other side. That smaller lamp was rarely ever used before this just because it was really difficult to turn on. So I'm glad that I added this little push button so I can turn it on from the comfort of the couch just with my foot. It's gonna make it so much easier to use, especially because I read here a lot, and having this lamp here and on is going to be helpful for that. Now let's get the new rug into place. I found this rug and I was so excited. It was exactly the style I was looking for. I love the black accents on it. There's a tiny bit of a burgundy color, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of green. And I think the black metal on the table really brings out the black accents in the rug, and the wood tone matches so much better than it did previously. This is some of my Star Wars artwork. I also got this on Etsy. I've had them for a really long time. I took the frames down to spray them gold, and it was a small little detail, but I really like how it looks. I needed to add an extension cord to the TV to make sure that it gets plugged in nicely, and I'm just going to cover up the cords with some cord covers to make it look a little neater and nicer. We're going to style the coffee table with this Lord of the Rings artwork book and this tray that I thrifted. My guitar is going to live next to the couch in between the bookshelf and the lamp. We're gonna put some pillows back on the end here. Didn't change the pillows, kept them exactly the same. Put some throw blankets at the end of the couch and this tray. I like to eat and drink on the couch, so having trays around is always helpful. I'm gonna put these candles on top of the table here, and use this Hobbit book and this bag filled with my ocarina songs in it on the end table. The book I'm currently reading, and a coaster. All right, this room is finished. Generally speaking, this room is pretty similar to the way that it started. I did really love the layout. I loved the functionality of this room, but I had been sitting on a good amount of DIY projects pretty much since I moved in, with the lamps, with the table, with the mirror. I'm so happy that I finally got them done. I finally got some good organization in this room, on the mantelpiece, on the bookshelf, and here is the final reveal. The changes were slight, but it makes this room look so much more cohesive, so much warmer. I love the way the gallery wall looks. So many fun pieces, from tarot cards to The Legend of Zelda. Of course, this Attack on Titan print, some of my Lord of the Rings maps, which is really giving into the dark academia vibes. The lamp looks so cool, so dark and moody, and I think the color scheme in this room is very intentional. This tray is beautiful, the coffee table, the mantelpiece, giving disorganized, organized vibes. I love the way that all of these books are set up, and all my little decor pieces, my Funko Pops, my ocarina. The curtains were an unexpected addition to the room, but they're really making it feel finished and intentional. And this definitely is the place for the Keyblade, as well as more books and more little decor pieces, like my puzzle box from Hellraiser. This mirror looks so good. It still functions the same, but now has a more cohesive design with the rest of the room. I'm glad I got to keep this table the same, and just the little change of making these frames gold really helped with the style in this room. My bookshelf, my lamp, my guitar, all looking great. Displaying some of my favorite things on this bookshelf. And of course, my beautiful lamp, which is now black and moody and so gorgeous. And just this room in general is so beautiful. I love relaxing in here. This really is my favorite room in the apartment. And now that the entire apartment is done, I'm excited to use it just as what it is, a relaxing living room. I don't plan on working in here anymore. I don't plan on recording videos in here anymore. Now that the decorating series is over, I can use my office for what it's meant for. I can use the living room for what it's meant for. And just in general, I'm so excited to have a fully decorated, fully finished apartment. This series has been incredible to me. Thank you all so much for coming along for it. Let me know down in the comments if you loved my furniture upcycling. Let me know what your favorite room was that I decorated. This really just has been an extremely rewarding series, getting to put my style chops to the test. I think I did a really great job. I'm so happy with how everything came out. This place really does feel like a reflection of me, and I can't wait to see how I use it. But just because this series is over does not mean that the content on this channel is over. I've got a ton of ideas for new videos. I'm getting into a couple conventions this summer, so of course I'll take you along for that. I'll be debuting new series just like this one very, very soon. If you're liking what you're seeing here, please like, subscribe, comment down below. It helps us reach new people and grow our community. And thank you for coming along for another video. Thank you for checking out this series, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.
Let it go. 얼어붙어 like whoa. 띵하고 어지러워. I see. 한여름에도 난 겨울. Yeah, got cold blood. Yeah, 너와 있을 때 I swear. 제가 먼저 zero 폭설한 그 chill day.